He looked at me like I was the weirdest alive. All right, you guys have about 5 minutes left. And I'm pretty sure he started cocaine moments before. See, going back to the bathroom lines, those are probably real cocaine lines. And I called the police myself, and I'm 90% sure he's locked up now. Oh God, I want to read this next one already. What's up, guys? Today, I'm going to be reading and reacting to some Reddit stories. Some normal, some more wild. Hopefully, we don't see anything too crazy. First one here comes from the fitness subreddit on Gym Story Saturday. Went to the gym on the dreaded January 1st. Bad start already. I knew it was going to be crowded, which it was, but I couldn't skip leg day. Good man. Eventually, I wanted to use the hip adduction/abduction machine, and I saw someone's stuff, bag, water bottle, tripod, was sitting on it, reserving it. You know, that's pretty normal. I'd always expect to see someone like leave their stuff if they've reserved it, if they need to go to the bathroom, or if they're doing something else for a brief period of time. So nothing too crazy yet. I decided to play it casual and do some other exercise before going over to it. Yeah, that's what I do too. Sometimes if I see someone either on the machine or someone's stuff looks like they're using it, I'll just do something else in the meantime. Usually it's not super important to do things in the exact order you have them written down, but if you're like me, sometimes you just like doing everything how you have it written. Otherwise, this is kind of understandable. I did 4 sets of 3 exercises, all while keeping an eye on the machine, and no one used it once. Just people passing by it, trying to figure out whose was it. After the 3 other exercises, I ran out of exercise to do, and even did my final exercise, abs, to try and buy some extra time for this person. After hitting abs, I was pretty upset about someone reserving the single hip abduction machine in the entire gym for well over 15 minutes. Like, that's the weirdest part. If he did 4 sets of 3 other exercises in 15 minutes, no, not even. He also did abs as well. So they're doing 4 exercises, some with 4 sets, and it's been 15 minutes. Is this the hip abduction the first thing they wanted to use? I don't know. Maybe I give them the benefit of the doubt. And even then, I probably do 1 exercise in 10 to 15 minutes with 3 sets, depending on how much setup and cleanup there is before and after. But for doing 4 sets, this person's like speeding through the gym. It could, I guess, depend on what they're doing. But if it's leg day, you're definitely taking it easy, taking some longer rest than usual. I don't know. But 15 minutes is still a long time to reserve a machine and not show back up to it. If it's like 1 to 5 minutes, that's kind of probably the normal range of not showing up, because maybe you have to go to the bathroom for a long time. Maybe you need to fill up your water. If you're doing leg day as well, maybe you're probably a little slower walking around. Could depend on how big the gym is, where things are in relation to that machine. So 5 minutes to be generous. That's probably the most I'd give. So I say, screw it. I go over to the machine and ask the people to the left who they know stuff it is, ask the people to the right. Neither of them knew who they belonged to. Now I'm just straight up mad. So reserving a machine on the busiest day of the year is a new level of selfish I've never seen in the gym. So I just grabbed the stuff that was sitting on the seat, put it behind the machine, and started my exercise. When you know it, halfway through my first set, the girl whose stuff it belongs to came up and suddenly started grabbing her stuff and storms out of the gym. I don't like the idea of being the jerk in the gym that takes other people's equipment, even though I hate when people reserve equipment they're not using. I just try to be respectful of everyone, staying out of mirror space, courteous to others, but this is just ridiculous. Once I was finished, another person immediately came to use the machine, showing that multiple people were waiting for this girl to move her stuff. Yeah, I can understand the sentiment of not wanting to be the jerk in the situation, but there comes a point where someone's using a machine or reserving a machine for too long where you have to either ask, hey, can I work in with you? Or you just move the stuff and act like no one's there in the first place. That's also the other thing. Sometimes people will like forget stuff there and they'll just like have people waiting. It's like no one's fault usually. It's just them being forgetful and not realizing they have their water bottle next to the machine when they either went to go home or just moved on to something else and they realized I needed a sip of water maybe 15 minutes later, and then they realized left on a machine. Now a line waiting kind of piles up. But yeah, this is kind of, other than him somehow going through leg day seemingly very quickly, I don't think this guy's really at fault for this. That's pretty crazy. Dude next to me asked me to help him with a neck exercise, just pressing a towel on his forehead and resisting his attempts to lift his neck. Just pressing a towel on his forehead and resisting his attempts to lift his neck. So like, what? Okay. He thanked me and acknowledged that some people thought it was a weird way to train neck. I disagreed and said that I had actually done something similar when I took weights class in high school. Partner lying leg curls, when you acted as resistance for your partner by pushing against their leg as they tried to curl it back. He looked at me like I was the weirdest alive. Like, bro, partner neck training is fine, but partner hammies are where you draw the line. Yeah, like I've seen some neck exercise machines. I think my high school gym, weirdly enough, had one of those kind of machines that they had us do when I played football for 1 year, but I've never seen it in an actual like commercial gym. Like, never. And I'm not really sure if really training your neck is super important. There are some probably other exercises for your upper back that are probably more posture related rather than strength related or muscle growth related. But yeah, I mean, and then partner hamstring curls, those are really good. Those are really good ways to fry your hamstrings. And Also good if you don't have equipment, but you have a person that you work out with, a good way to train your hamstrings in like kind of a different way. And the fact that this guy thought that that was weird is really bizarre to me. All right, this one comes from the personal training subreddit. This one guy said, the commercial, I think you meant to say the commercial gym I worked at for 5-ish years was heavily mismanaged, so there's a ton of wild things that happened. One of my coworkers' clients OD'd right before coming to his session. All right, this is a strong start to this bullet list. Jesus Christ. He was absolutely fine for most of it. Then after he started seizing, doing pull-ups, we had to support him on the bar. Ambulance picked him up, and he strolled in the next day and tried to sign up for PT as if he'd forgot he was even went there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever had any of my clients ever be on drugs that I know of, at least non-recreational drugs from what it seems. But yeah, that's kind of crazy if someone just coming in, ODing in the middle of the session, then they just come back like, yeah, I'm ready for another one, chief. That's someone you probably just never work with again. It's too much of a liability risk, honestly. If someone, actually, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell because I think if you have like an actual medical condition and there's some maybe mismanagement or some kind of oversight that a personal trainer might have when working with a client with some kind of health condition that they know about, that maybe someone like ODs, that's like a different level of crazy, honestly. People thought it was funny to arrange spilled pre-workout in the locker rooms into lines. Gave me a heart attack every time. You know, with the ODing that happened in the earlier part of the post, it's probably not pre-workout sometimes. There's probably this maybe it's kind of like a guessing game. Like you kind of pick one of the lines and one of them's actually cocaine. Who knows? A prospective client in the first free session openly and unprompted admitted he was a P-word, and from what he said, should have definitely been in prison. My manager refused to have him banned or trespassed because it was all speculation on my part. There was a daycare in the gym. A few days later, I saw him staring through the windows and called police myself, and I called the police myself, and I'm 90% sure he's locked up now. Yeah, that's a difficult one. Like if he was previously convicted and is out, is like through some rehab program and you're working with him, that's fine. But I think if there's a daycare in your gym, you're probably almost a little bit obligated to probably not let him in. And you're probably, if I had to guess, you're probably not obligated to work with him as a client or if as a personal trainer, you're probably not obligated to take him as a client if you're uncomfortable with that as well. Very strange. I think the strangest part is just straight up admitting it to someone. I don't know. I feel like that would never go over well. No one's like, oh, that's cool. Me too. What's up? You want to go check out the daycare we have? Like, I don't know. That's just crazy. Once someone left the back door, which opens onto the turf, open, and a rat by the back dumpsters ran in across the turf and into the training cage. I freaked out immediately, but my client just glanced at it, rolled her eyes, and continued doing push-ups while a rat was running back and forth in the cage so close to her. Well, I was going to lose a client that day, but I was genuinely impressed by how unbothered she was and how she kept good form. That's the important part. While Rowan was literally running around her. You know, this is just the added stress, the added, this is what we call progressive overload, where you have to overload their stress in different ways. Sometimes with muscle, sometimes it's psychological. I'll have to use that sometime. I'll bring a rat into my training, or I'll bring a rat to train my clients sometimes, just let it loose, see how they feel. See how they react. Oh God, I don't want to read this next one already. One client was on her period and sneezed and her tampon shout out from her shorts. She was so mortified and I immediately threw a sweat rag on top of it so nobody saw. Both of us just sat there staring at each other for a second because she was living her nightmare. I felt so bad for her. All right, obviously I've never dealt with this problem, but my only question is, it shot out from her underwear and her shorts. Like it passed both. That's the crazy part. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I was like the client in this situation, I would just change gyms. I couldn't go back. I wouldn't even cancel my membership. I would just I just pay them forever and just never even think about it. Once a stray dog ran in the front doors and booked it to the back and into the women's locker room. It was a holiday and there was really nobody there, thank God. I hadn't seen it and I was around the corner in a different part of the building. My client came strolling into the training cage, so matter-of-factly, and told me that there was a sweet little dog chilling in one of the women's showers. When I went to look, it was a pit bull. It was so scared though, my coworker was eating McDonald's and we could only lure the dog out of the locker room and back outside by using a Big Mac. It was wild, especially my client insisting that I deal with it after the session, even though she was having a allergic reaction to dogs, but said she could power through. I mean, I don't know, I've never had a wild dog run into any gym I've ever been at or worked at. Kind of makes me wonder what part or what city or town or what kind of area these people live in. If rats are running in, stray dogs are running in, people are ODing in the middle of sessions, and their clients are just okay with rats just like running around them while they do push-ups, and they're having allergic reactions while a dog that's giving them an allergic reaction is there. Also, if you're having an allergic reaction to something, You don't have to power through anything. You're not going to get a medal. You're not going to get an award. No one's going to congratulate you. Just deal with the allergic reaction and not die, okay? I was doing a training session for my manager, which is once quarterly evaluation practice, and I'm pretty sure he started cocaine moments before. See? Going back to the bathroom lines, those are probably real cocaine lines, not pre-workout. Moments before because he was so hyperactive and performing lifts at a much higher weight and pace than he should have been. He had white stuff in his mustache the whole time, and I couldn't tell if it was powder or if he was just graying. You see, at the same time, maybe they actually are just snorting the pre-workout because it's a better way to get it up into your system. Or is pre-workout laced with cocaine? I've had 3 different middle-aged divorced men propose to me during a session just casually. I was 21 at the time. Okay, this one doesn't actually surprise me. Out of all of these, this is probably the least surprising. I was expecting, like, honestly, if she said I had 3 middle-aged men do something worse, like I was expecting like someone to grab her inappropriately or something, and then the manager not doing anything about it. But this, while weird and abnormal, isn't that surprising to me. One time I was working on a fairly small gym with 2 benches and I had a dude walk up to me and my buddy while we were benching on it and say, "All right, you guys have about 5 minutes left." We both looked at each other, raising our eyebrows. When I turned to the guy and said, "No, dude, we got a couple sets left, but you can hop in if you want." Dude said, "Nah, if you don't get up, I'm beating your ass." Okay. Guys, pro tip, you probably don't want to be verbally threatening people in gyms you frequent. Probably never going to be a good idea. I was kind of astonished, especially considering the bench next to us was free. What? And when I brought that up, he said, "No, I don't like that bench." Okay. 2 problems. 1, he's threatening to assault people in a gym that probably has cameras, almost certainly has cameras. And 2, there's a second bench that is free and he just doesn't want to use it because these fifis don't like that bench. He kind of looked at him and said, and my buddy says, "Well, we aren't getting up, so I guess you're going to have to beat our ass." Dude just stood there and stared at us for the rest of our sets, and then he went and reported us to the gym manager. Fun times. I feel like I need a conclusion to this story because I want to know, I'm guessing the manager probably didn't kick them out because or revoke their membership or do anything about it. I'm not sure if you could. Like, I understand if you're at a small gym, there's only a few amount of benches, a few amount of power racks. You don't really want people hogging them for too long periods of time. I think I've seen gyms where it's like there's a 20 or 30 minute like max that you can use at the power racks, which makes sense. If it's like a smaller gym, they don't have as many, and it's like maybe during busy hours. If I had to guess, they're probably going to be more generous if there's like no one at the gym. I think for normal, like day to day, if it's busy, you probably want to be conscious of how long you're using certain equipment or certain things. But this is a little absurd because for one thing, there's already other equipment that they can use. Like there's another bench that they can use and they're willing to work in with them. So even if it was busy, they're like, "Oh, they could work in with us. It's no problem." Plus also it's very aggressive. This is probably the main problem. It says, "All right, you guys have about 5 minutes." Like he's demanding, like he's asserting that like, this is how much time you guys have left. It's not like, "Oh, excuse me, do you know how many sets you have left or could I work in?" Like if you come in like that, you're going to get a way better response than, "All right, you guys have about 5 minutes left," which is crazy how we started off like this. And these people even offered to work in with them. Like, I don't think I would be that nice to someone that aggressive, like just off the bat. Like if he asked, like, "How many sets you guys have left?" And then they say, "Oh, this many," and it's busy. And then I was like, "Oh, just so you guys know, like there's a 20-minute like limit or 15-minute limit or whatever limit that gym might have," but it doesn't seem like there is because they're not mentioning in the post. Like, just so you know, you have that much time left because it's busy and I really want to use this bench. That might be a better way of approaching it, but this is just like someone that has a massive ego and they're just not letting it go, and then just slide out. It's going to be probably a little awkward depending on like where it is or where the hooks are, but normally it's a little bit safer than just the normal bench press, but having spotters not that big of a deal. My friend and I are getting ready for squats when the skinny guy in the Smith machine asks for a spot on his bench press. You don't really need a spot usually for if you're doing the Smith machine. Probably one benefit of the Smith machine is not only are you able to get a little more like power out of it because it's on just the track, you don't need to stabilize, so you can get more muscle. You also don't need a spotter because if you're stuck at the bottom, you can kind of just like push it up a little bit, hopefully rack it, just slide out. It's going to be probably a little awkward depending on like where it is or where the hooks are, but normally it's a little bit safer than just the normal bench press, but having spotters not that big of a deal. My friend agrees. I'll set up and he moves behind the guy so he can start the bench. The guy says, no, help me from the side." Okay. My friend confused and not understand. He moved to the side as instructed, and the guy unracked the weight and dropped it down. He could not push up his first rep. Okay, if you're going to be doing a set of anything that's like more than, I don't know, probably 3 reps, you should be able to do the first rep on your own. You can maybe do the last, if you're doing something like of 10 or 15, you could probably do the last few reps with assistance. You know, that's fine. Get a little bit of extra gains out of it. He did not push up his first rep. He told my friend to lift it up. As a friend lifted it up, he tried to lock it in for him. However, the guy drops the weight again. My friend ended up basically lifting the weight for him from the side, which was the guy's actual workout. After that, my friend gave him advice on what he should actually be doing. I had the unlucky pleasure of being asked to help next. I refused to move from behind him and made him bench it himself. Then told him he had no idea what he was doing. Yeah, that's probably, okay, your friend had the good idea of trying to be like, hey, you probably should be doing it more like this. And that can be hard to do with people because, I don't know, people generally don't want to be told that they're wrong, but this guy's like doing something that's kind of actually dangerous. When you're doing more weight than you can physically handle yourself, you're very likely to be injuring yourself. The only exception I would give this guy is if he was doing a weird workout where he's just trying to do it eccentrically, like he was just trying to make it super slow on the way down, and then he just needed help pushing it back up because maybe he's doing more than he could push up, but you can essentially load a lot more down. But I would feel like the guy would have explained that to him. And he also says the verb drops down the weight again, like it's coming down quick, not like he lets it come down super slow, get stuck, and then helps him push up. Because that could be a bit maybe more interesting workout. I could see that being like a real thing people do. I've seen like someone on YouTube do it, but that was more for an experiment where he was experimenting with doing like an eccentric only workout where everything was eccentrics. He would never do a concentric movement ever, which honestly, from the looks of it, from what I saw in that video, it was very annoying and not as fun. But I could see it being something you could do with a Smith machine and some like partner assisting you. After 3 months later, I saw 2 other guys doing the same thing. We now joke about lifting from the side. TLDR, spotting from the side, bro. I mean, spotting from the side can be a thing if you're doing it with 2 people, but as a single person, just spot from behind. You don't need to complicate things. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. See you in the next one.